Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another video, and this video is going to tie into one that I just uploaded where I kind of talked about, how I feel records are overpriced, value-wise for what you get a bit, at least in record stores. Basically, of course, if you've already read the title of this, I'm going to ask if going to record stores is worth it nowadays, and what value there might be in a record store versus just ordering online. Because if we look at this from a purely price-driven aspect, if that's the only value we look at, almost always you're going to do better getting music from the internet, be that vinyl or CDs, right? Pretty much most of the time you're going to find it cheaper online, right? That's just reality, okay? Often by, most typically the prices that I see, the difference, if you buy either CD or vinyl online, you can save between $3 to $5. Most of the time that's roughly the price difference, if there is one. Assuming the prices aren't identical. If there is a price difference, it's typically $3 to $5 higher for that release in the store than it is online. Sometimes there's an even bigger price difference, but that's pretty typical, right? So we're looking at that. Okay, so the release is cheaper online. Okay. Clearly, if you know what you're looking for, you know exactly what you want to order, it's a lot better to get the stuff online. And probably about half of the music that I buy, I get online, primarily through Amazon. Yeah, so roughly half of my dollar spent is online. The other half, let's see, if I have to break it down, the majority of that money that I spend isn't at actual record stores. A lot of it is just basically stores that I happen to be at and I see something that I want to pick up. A good example is new releases at Best Buy. Best Buy has terrible selection of back catalog for artists, but they tend to have a lot, even nowadays they still have decent selection of new artists. I'm sorry, not new artists, new material. And sometimes, they have the big bargain bins where you can get CDs for like $4 or $5. You can find some gems in there if you dig. That does happen sometimes. Or, every now and then you're just at a store that sells, media, for lack of a better term. I recently got a vinyl at a Barnes & Noble, of all places, that wasn't horrendously overpriced. I also get a fair amount of music from a chain called Half Price Books. So those tends to be probably where I spend the vast majority of my brick and mortar money, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then of course the rest is at actual record stores. So really at this point, if we look at, if we're going to separate non-record stores from record stores, we're going to talk about, so the kind of stuff I tend to buy at non-record stores it's essentially, I just happen to be in the store for whatever reason, I'm looking at whatever, and hey, I see a release, hey, I want this release, right? And I pick it up, and I go, right? The end. I'm not necessarily looking to buy music, but it's just something I run across and I happen to see it and I want it and I go. Now, if I go to a record store, clearly at that point, I am specifically going with a mission to find music to buy, right? And music tends to be higher priced there, okay? Not always, but a lot of times. So what's the value of a record store? Well, I guess the value of it is you can run across releases that you may not have otherwise thought about for a while or otherwise considered, because you're flipping through. Oh, hey, look, here's an album by da 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 that I don't have. I'm gonna pick this one up because so you look at the price, it's not horrendous. I'll get it. It's a little, and that's kind of how So you have these moments where you're just like, oh, hey, look at this, look at that. So, and you're much more likely to see that. It just works better in a record store really than anywhere else, right? Online, the little suggestions that, like, say, Amazon gives you, it's not nearly the same as actually being at a store and flipping through the albums they have and seeing something that you forgot you wanted, right? It just tends to work. I don't know. It's just, I guess, the way the human brain works. As good as Amazon's algorithms are, they're not as good as seeing something you want, because very often Amazon's algorithms will suggest something that I already own, right? If I buy something, it'll say, hey, what about this? And I'll already own it. Whereas, of course, if you're in a record store and you're flipping through things, you're going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Filter out, for lack of a better term, stuff you already own, right? You're just going to pass right over it. Like, I already have that, and that's going to be the end of it. And you have that, that discovery that's really hard to replicate any other way. So is that in and of itself, does that provide enough value to make going to a record store worth it? And of course, you could say there's a cool atmosphere, blah, blah, blah. You can get into good discussions with people about music. Does that create enough value to make it worth going to a record store versus buying online versus going to a more generalized store and happening to see music? Well, I would say I'm glad record stores are still around, but when I go to a record store, I have to specifically plan a trip out to one, because they're not just everywhere like they used to be, right? You have to, like, consciously say, I'm going to go to a record store. Like, for example, this past weekend, I consciously made the decision, I'm going to go to these record stores, right? It was just, that's the whole reason I left the house, was specifically good to go to those record stores. The thing is, they're not extremely close to my house. They're at least a 40-minute drive, right? Which is not horrendous, but it's not right down the street either. So it's like I have to specifically plan out, I'm going to go to this place. And on top of that, I know I'm going to spend more money than I would other ways to obtain the music. Like, I know it's going to be more expensive, right? So, it's like the inconvenience of leaving my house and going semi-far away to get this stuff and knowing I'm going to spend more money. That's probably why I don't make a whole lot of trips out specifically to record stores. I do it pretty seldom, actually. I will go check out record stores that I hear about that are new, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll have really cool stuff. But honestly, pretty much most record stores I've been to, be they large or small, have some similarities, right? In pricing and presentation and all that. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of meandering around. I know, I don't know. I guess my final verdict on this is I definitely think record stores provide some value, but it's not extremely exceptional, I guess, for lack of a better term, compared to our other options. I'd really be interested, of course, to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there will be some discussion on this. Anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap this up. As always, if you liked it, thumbs up. If you hated it, thumbs down. Share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.